it is so close to fall, we can feel it. And that's like literally because it's rainy and cool outside. I know I'm ready to start digging in, putting those bulbs in. Maybe there's a fence post or two to finish off the backyard. You know, digging in your yard seems pretty simple, but did you know that about every 9 minutes an underground utility line is damaged because someone digs and hits it? That's why 811 offers its services for free to you, so you know where you can dig safely without causing any kind of damage. Louis Panzer with North Carolina 811 is joining us to talk about how 811 can help you dig safely and not have those issues. We're going to be taking your questions. You can get those answered by our expert by texting your questions to the number that's on your screen right now. That's 336-379-5775. All right, so Louis, first and foremost, let's just start off with the easiest thing. What is 811?
So 811 is a 3-digit number. It's a national number, so it works in every state. It's kind of like 911. It's a simple thing to remember, but you call 811 prior to any digging that you plan to do. And you can also notify using the 811, but every state has an 811 center. North Carolina 811 is actually based in Greensboro and serves the entire state. And so it's a simple 3-digit number that people can remember anytime they're going to be doing any kind of digging at all, especially where it's going to be in the front of their property or on the side, along the easements in the back, that kind of thing, where typically there are utilities lying in those areas.
All right, and so kind of let's go over how 811 works, because we're going to call 811, right? And then there's going to be some wait time. We want people to think that they're going to call 811 and they're going to start digging in the next 5 minutes.
Absolutely. So there's kind of what we call a 4-step process. The first one is making that call, and you want to do it at least 2 full business days prior to your digging. And so the reason for that is because the utilities, we communicate out your intent, what you're going to do, where you're going to do it. We gather that information from the folks when they're calling us in, and then we distribute that to the utilities who are in that area. And then those utilities use that 2 full days in order to come out and physically mark if they have a conflict with where you've told them that you're planning to dig. So the first step is making the call. The second one is waiting. The third step is after that 2 full days, you have to check your positive response, which is the notices back from the utilities that say what they've done. So they'll tell you if they marked it or if they did not have a conflict. And we will actually email that information out to you at the end of those 2 full days if you provide that email address. Otherwise, you can check it on our app or by calling in. So that's the third step, is verifying that you're in the clear around where you're going to dig. And then the fourth step is obviously digging with care and being aware of those marks and digging carefully so that you do not make contact with them.
All right, because this is one of those things where obviously no wants to hit like a natural gas line or something like that, but you can also hit the cable line and knock out cable, not only to you but to all of your neighbors who are then going to talk to you about it, right, in really nice terms and fashions. So let's take a look real quickly just about what types of utilities are underground so people can get a grasp of all the different things that are in their yard.
Absolutely. So like you mentioned, natural gas, that's obviously one of the first prime things that folks want to avoid hitting. Really, the second one would be power, because everybody has power serving their homes. And, you can get a pretty nasty shock if you were to come into contact with an underground electric line. As you mentioned, telecommunications and internet and cable lines, those items are in the ground and increasingly important as people are using those to work from home. Obviously during the pandemic, a lot of people were doing schooling through home. So there are actually people who medically depend on those communications back to doctors if they're, like, for example, on some kind of medicine regimen that's being monitored. So we really try to place all 3 of those equally. But in addition to those, you also have underground water, sewer, and reclaimed water, which also can be out there. And each one of those comes with a corresponding color marking that will be affiliated with that on the ground.
Okay, we're getting a couple of questions. This person's asking, who's supposed to call 811? They say, what if you're a private contractor? Are you the one calling 811 or the people that you're doing the work for calling 811?
That's an excellent question. I mean, the law basically talks about the person that's responsible for the excavation to make that notification. And honestly, if somebody's going to be doing that work as a private contractor for a homeowner, it's really kind of incumbent on them to make sure that they're following those practices and those laws. And it can certainly be done on behalf of a homeowner by somebody who's installing a fence or a pool or any kind of plants or anything. So we do ask that the person or entity that's going to be actually physically digging be the one that's going to make those calls. Also, because they can correspond those marks with that work that they're actually doing versus somebody who may be disconnected from the actual excavation itself.
All right, and if you're having the work done, don't take for granted that your contractor person who's putting in the fence in or whatever has done it. Make sure you ask them ahead of time that they have actually done it. We're going to take a quick break. We're going to be continuing to answer your questions when we come back. You can always text them to us, 336-379-5775.